I love the sound of that paper flick you've got going there. Is the theme song starting?
I don't know. Are we recording?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's either dead air or you and I talking.
I think it's just going to be us vamping until
What if we
Franco gets...
We'll improv. Dung, 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 dung.
Are you getting the tune right? Oh dear. How many things can you do at once, Franco?
Hello, Australia, and welcome to the BAP, and to my very unhelpful co-hosts, Jason and Dean.
Jason's back.
It's the 5th of February 2017. We are broadcasting from the full bubble of progressiveness with, as Dean aforementioned, wonderful Jason is back.
Yes, wonderful.
Wonderful. I mocked last episode because I knew you wouldn't listen to the stream.
I had every intention to, never quite made it.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I can't remember what I said, but I remember mocking you.
Okay, I'll definitely go back.
You got to listen to the first sort of 3 minutes to catch it.
So, dude, what have you got back for douchebaggy goodness?
Oh, fuck. Have you guys watched the OA on Netflix?
No. Is that the Portuguese show? Or Brazilian show?
Ooh.
Has it got subtitles?
No.
No, then it's not.
It's sort of like, it starts happening a little bit like Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this woman who went missing for 7 years, and then she comes back and she was blind, but now she can see, and she's got like special powers. And then it just goes off the deep end and becomes this. I'm going to spoiler alert this, which I never do, but spoiler alert, it jumps the shark about episode 5 of 8.
Oh, right.
It becomes this improv dance show. Goes from being this science fiction thing, you're not sure what's going on, and then they start doing these improv dances and changing the world, and it's fucking weird. And then at the very end of it, I'm not even going to wreck the ending, but at the very end, it's one of the weirdest shows I've ever watched.
Is it by a well-known producer or?
I couldn't tell you. No, it's Bat Manlage is the guy's name. Someone Bat Manlage.
Bat Manlage.
Which sounds like a fake name to me.
Sounds like Bat Manuel.
Yeah, it just. I feel like the guy made up the name. Bat Manlage. Or not. I don't know. Someone somewhere changed their name along the line.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, you had me at Stranger Things. You lost me at musical.
I know. No. Look, my girlfriend started watching it, and she was like, "Hey, this is really good. We should check this out." And I was with her. Those first 4 episodes, I was like, "This is fucking great. I'm so glad you made me watch this." And then those last 4 episodes, I was like, "The fuck are we watching?
What is this?
What is this?" And by the end of it, she was like, "I'm so sorry. I made you watch that. I don't even know what's happening."
Oh, okay.
So it blindsided us both. I still think it was interesting. And there's this question at the end as to did she really have powers at all or not?
Or was she merely
Or
insane?
was she just insane?
Okay.
But it's only 8 episodes. Feel free to watch it.
Yeah.
I can't give it a recommendation.
I think I've got other things. There's a good season of viewing coming up.
Yeah.
The Expanse has started.
Yep.
I've started watching a show called Taboo, which is Tom Hardy's new.
You got a TV show?
Yes. It's 3 episodes in.
Wow.
It's really interesting. Did we talk about this?
No, we didn't.
Okay. It's
but you were trying to show me up.
It's set around about. It's set in 1814, so the War of 1812 and all that is still going between
fresh in people's minds.
England and England and America are still at war.
See, I thought you had a problem with period dramas because last time I heard you talk about was Justified.
No. He has a problem.
Justified's
with
not a period drama.
Targeting
Justified
women
is set nowadays.
Drama around people having their period. That's what he has a problem with.
Yeah, Justified is set now. It's like a contemporary U.S. Marshal going around looking for justified reasons to kill people.
I thought he was a cowboy looking to shoot people.
He's a marshal.
He's Rodrigo Duterte.
Well, not much has changed.
He's American law enforcement, a.k.a. a cowboy.
So it's like Texas Walker Ranger. Anyway, I digress.
You did. You distracted us from Taboo.
Texas Ranger, by the way.
Distracted us from Taboo, which is a period drama. There's a lot of very tall hats because it's set during the Georgian period. I think it's George III. And so it's Tom Hardy plays a man, a long and estranged son returned from perhaps dead because everyone thought he'd already drowned on a ship. Comes back, his father's dying, he's inheriting the family fortune, and it happens to be there's this sort of grand political sort of element to the show because he's inheriting land that the British and the Americans are kind of fighting over.
Right.
It'll be the gateway to the Pacific trade. It's around Vancouver Island or something like that, and it's just basically it doesn't sound terribly action packed, but it's quite good. I mean, Tom Hardy's a great
on the
actor.
plus side, he's not playing a hat. It's a period piece with lots of tall hats. Tom Hardy could be cast as a hat. He has the acting chops for that.
That's true. He was once just a face mask, wasn't he?
Yeah.
His
He
voice
was
is
face masks televising Trump's moves before Trump made them.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I started watching a new show. So, I think 10 years ago, the days when you would have a man crush on Keith Sutherland, saving the world, even though the government was out to get him because they didn't believe him, that he knew the terrorists were the ones that were trying to get them.
And sometimes you just got to chop a guy's head off.
That's it. He was at the forefront, at the coalface of stopping ISIS.
Yeah, before there was ISIS.
Exactly.
That's
He
right.
fucking failed then, didn't he?
Well, he's matured, and his audience has matured. So he's realigned what he's doing now with a new show called Designated Survivor.
Yes, I've seen the first
Oh, I've seen that
episode.
on Netflix as well. I wanted to watch that.
I binge watched the first season. I'm not going to go out there and say
Is
it's
it worth starting?
It's man crush area, and it's going to be I Love America worthy.
It's a lot of patriotic jingoism. I only saw the first episode, I think.
I
or
never
something
had a
like that.
man crush on Keith Sutherland.
So the premise is, and this
Outside of
isn't
Flatliners.
this
and
isn't
Lost
really a
Boys.
spoiler. The premise is that whenever there's a meeting of the joint houses, so all the political establishment are there, then one person in the direct chain of authority from the president is kept somewhere off base
in case bad things happen.
in case bad things happen. And what do you know?
Bad things happen.
Bad things happen.
Yep.
So Kiefer Sutherland's some junior undersecretary
He's
to
the
blah blah.
Secretary of, Cabinet Secretary of HUD.
Oh,
Of HUD.
Of HUD.
Ben Carson's new job.
He could be the next president.
That's even,
So, yes.
is that more
Still
frightening than the
improvement
current
over
president?
Trump.
So yeah, the
Is that more frightening than the current president, Ben Carson?
No, not at all. It's even Pence is a frightening prospect.
so the premise of the show
Ben
is
Carson's like a bumbling fool. It'd be like the Cosby Show. It'd be fine without the date rape.
as Jason suggested, Keith Sutherland's been nominated. No, sorry, his character Tom Kirkman, Cabinet Secretary for HUD, has been designated the designated survivor because it's the State of the Union speech when all the House is going to be at the Capitol Hill for the President's speech. However, Tom Kirkman's been notified that he's being sacked the following day. So
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
a double whammy for him. So he's sulking out in some special location with his wife, watching the dress on TV, and then whammo, everyone's gone. He's now the designated survivor, and becomes president.
And the Republicans also had their own designated survivor,
Yes.
and it's just to keep the conflict going.
But what's interesting is watching this in
So the
panel-
House now consists of 2 people.
Yeah.
Does he automatically become the vice president, considering there is no?
I can't remember. I didn't
No.
get that far in, but they're obviously wrestling with the mechanics of the situation a little bit. Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is that
Who's the Veep?
the who
I don't know. Well,
Who's
the
the
Veep,
vice
the
president?
Veep died in the.
Why no? So Keith
They-
Sutherland's now
I-
the president.
they go through a process to pick someone,
That's right. I think
Boring.
that's where I was up to, where they were picking out.
but they're dealing with issues of governors decreeing Muslim bans and roundups and so
Mm.
forth. And I'm seeing this in real time with executive orders happening with Donald Trump. It's quite interesting seeing how they play this out.
And in
Fantasy
fact,
world
Donald
versus real
Trump
world.
Donald Trump is possibly moving at a faster rate than that TV show was too. They had a weekly sort of schedule. He's doing it by the day. He's just rolling out those executive orders.
To be fair, he is just doing
think we're overly
exactly
fair.
what he said. Like during the campaign, he listed all the things he's going to do when he took office, and he's just going through checking them off one by one. Now, I admit these are vile, evil things he's doing. However, it is exactly more or less what he said he'd do.
My minor criticism of the show is that the flaw in the show is Tom Kirkman doesn't have any flaws, so he's a bit weak sauce on that. He's too goody two shoes, I think, and I don't think anyone that gets up to cabinet secretary level doesn't have significant skeletons.
That's right.
or
They made it out like
personality issues.
he'd got his way there and through
He flicked
just
flicked it into that position. He actually hadn't been tarnished by the whole political process. He just wanted to impact change, like they all do.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, if you don't mind that weak sauce,
Which is why he
aspect
was
of it,
being fired basically.
yes.
So
It's not
Because
enough
he
of
was
a
too
political
squeaky
machine.
clean.
Because he wasn't a team player.
Right.
Yeah.
So does this how many thumbs up does this get from Franco?
Yeah, it's good. 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 thumbs.
Yeah, 6, I suppose. Yeah, it's entertaining, and if
Have
you're
you watched them all as well,
I
Jason?
watched like 2 episodes, I think. And I guess it's like, if you're a political junkie, then you're going to enjoy this kind of thing. It's like I used to really like West Wing.
You still really like West Wing?
No,
No.
not so much. It's now West Wing seems naive and just ridiculously stupid.
You've grown up, Jason.
In its optimism,
Have
yeah.
you rewatched Babylon 5 lately?
Yeah, no, that's terrible.
Because you used to love that too. I'm just saying,
No,
sometimes things don't age.
You're a
Babylon
big
5.
advocate of Babylon 5. as I
I still liked a lot of things
Maybe
about
8
it,
years
but
ago.
my God, the acting is horrendous. And the production value is quite terrible.
It's not really there. Later on, it's all right. But
Yeah.
recall. Any other douchebaggery?
nah.
Yeah? All right.
Oh, well, so just reporting that the Expanse has returned.
Ooh.
But I think I'm going to have to let you guys watch it because it's too hard not to spoil things, so I'll have to leave it. It's just one episode in. I thought they were going to do the whole Netflix thing where they...
Nice. Netflix these days does multiple different distribution models.
Okay, so
Some
they're
things are weekly
doing
shows.
this one a weekly one.
Yeah.
Okay.
How come our on-air sign is not on air? Not that this affects viewers in any way.
This does not make good radio. There we go.
Hey, better.
So, to give this some context, I recently made a on-the-fly purchase of an on-air sign that doesn't really benefit you, the listener, in any way, shape, or form, but seems to amuse Dean.
It does.
And I think it
Its
appealed-
very existence amuses me.
it perturbed his OCD that it was not on whilst we were on air.
Yes. Well, how are we supposed to know?
Indeed, sometimes we don't.
It's been an exciting week, hasn't it?
It's been a good week. It's been a big week.
First thing I was going to rip into was some chatter about President Trumbull.
Prime Minister Trumbull.
Prime Minister Trumbull. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's in deep trouble.
So on the 28th of January, he had a phone call with President Trump. And we were led to believe it was a civil and constructive phone call.
Well, we were led to also believe it was only 25 minutes of the allotted hour.
Well, no. That we were led to believe it was a robust and full conversation. However, subsequent leaks reported by the Washington Post suggested that it wasn't such a civil phone call.
Donald Trump's Twitter posts afterwards suggested the same thing.
Apparently, Trump blasted Trumbull over the refugee agreement. He wasn't happy about that. He wasn't happy about Obama agreeing to take on 1,250
I thought
refugees.
It's a dick move to do that in the lame duck period of presidency.
It is. He also...
He did it before that, though, didn't he?
No.
It was before the election was done.
It was
It was
before the election was done, but like it was coming up to the point where maybe don't.
But it was also, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there some kind of swap? The idea was, in order for all sides to save
Yes.
face, we were taking some Central American refugees, and they were getting the Muslims, so to speak.
Right.
But so it was like a quid pro quo kind of situation. Yet for some reason, Trump did not like this deal. He thought it was a bad deal or something.
Dumb deal.
Dumb deal. It's dumb.
He also boasted about the magnitude of his electoral win. And he ended the phone abruptly after 25 minutes for a supposedly hour conversation.
Yeah, it was a hang up as well. Even Turnbull admitted that it ended with someone hanging up.
Well, no, he tried to insist that it ended courteously.
Turnbull.
As he
At
subsequently come out and said...
Well, he admitted, yeah. He admitted it ended with someone hanging up. He wouldn't say who. Suggestions have been made it was actually Trumbull that hung up, not Trump. I assumed it was Trump that hung up.
Yeah, it's interesting to try and figure out who actually released the aspects of the phone call.
I don't think it was Malcolm.
You don't think so?
No, Malcolm seems to be playing the game of, look, ineffectual and harmless.
The conjecture from some of the shows I listened to was that it would be on the Australian side that it got leaked. Because they reckon it would have been from the Australians, but I don't know. That everyone's guessing.
Well, the other line of thinking is that obviously Trump's going to be... It's seemingly forced to take these refugees in, but he wants to show the American public that he was fighting against the deal.
Yeah, if he's going to do it now at all, I mean, possibly.
So by leaking out that he berated the Australian Prime Minister.
Oh, yeah.
And then
okay.
doing it on Twitter as well, like actually coming out and berating.
That's one angle, I guess.
As the pundits say, good optics. Domestically, not so much internationally.
So was he actually saying to Turnbull, he was going, hey, I'm going to put out some really shitty tweets. Just take it easy, man. I don't mean a word. It's all about the optics. And you think Turnbull was like, yeah, sure. And I'll say I hung up. How about that?
Well, it's also Turnbull's also possibly the only world leader who has not condemned the visa and green card ban.
Well, obviously.
Even Theresa May's come out and done it now.
Because we'd look a little bit like hypocrites at that point, wouldn't we?
Well, to be fair, these people don't have valid visas. I mean, they still are legally.
No, but what I mean is with the treatment with how we treat people like that as it is. I mean, we can't really be complaining about.
Oh no,
anyone else.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. I think Donald Trump's tweet was fantastic. It was, do you believe it? The Obama administration agreed to take thousands of illegal immigrants from Australia. Full stop. Why? Question mark. I will study this dumb deal. Full stop. I pretty much I love the way he tweets. I don't like the fact that anyone in a piece of command is actually doing this. But Donald is very, very, very plain with the way he talks, and I think that would resonate with his supporters.
Oh, definitely.
It's not just resonating. I don't think it's pretty rare that you have a direct feed to a president's thoughts.
Yep.
Like this, it just has never. I mean, what's the closest thing is when you can get him in front of a press conference. It's the closest thing they've ever had before. You've never had anyone just airing their fucking thoughts straight out in 140 characters.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's a measure of the amount of study he's going to do into the deal as well.
Oh wow, yeah. Because any assessment you'll give.
Ask Steve Bannon.
Yeah,
do I have to do this deal?
Hey Steve, what do you think about this deal, Steve?
I would have thought Bannon would have been an anti the deal.
I think so.
I mean, it has come out that it's pretty much been Bannon pushing for the ban on the visas and the green card holders. He doesn't really care about the judicial process, even though a judge has since overturned that ban.
Or he's put a stay on the order.
No, it's actually been overturned. A Washington State judge on Saturday overturned the order, and the Justice Department have just come out and said they're going to fight it, which is good because I mean they've changed the person in charge now since she got fired by Trump. But I also liked how we sent Joe Hockey in when it looked like everything's going to fall apart. We sent the man who couldn't in any way balance a budget, refused to stand up when Tony was like, "Hey Joe, why don't you take the leadership? I don't want to do it. It won't go well. You be the figurehead. I'll be the puppet master." Joe wouldn't do it. I can't even imagine what Joe would say when he walked in.
I think Trump would probably mistake him as Chris Christie or something like that.
Maybe that's what happened. He's like, "Well, if
Hey,
Chris
Chris.
Christie thinks I should do it."
Chris, could you go get me some burgers?
Yeah.
It's actually been funny listening to Kim Beazley's been in the spotlight doing a fair bit of commentary on this phone.
He was a former US
was,
ambassador
yeah.
until we sent Uncle Joe for fuck knows why. Probably just get him out of Canberra.
Yeah, I'd like to think Kim Beazley would have had a bit more diplomacy in handling this situation. He was quite an accomplished politician, whether you liked him or
The
not.
problem was he had no personality. Kim was actually a very good politician, just electorally boring, wallpaper paste.
Yeah. He failed to connect with the greater Australian community, definitely.
He's a Perth boy as well, so.
I don't know if he was necessarily a wallflower, but I mean, yeah, he failed to connect.
Yeah.
So the fallout from the phone calls, we don't know if this deal is current or not.
It is. They're going to do it. Apparently,
They asked.
they're still not. They're dragging their heels a bit.
Well, they're going to employ extreme vetting as part of the process.
They're still
extreme vetting.
Even though these refugees have been through
Which is interesting,
extensive
though.
vetting to
Yeah.
begin with over 4 years.
And they want to apply the same extreme vetting to people that hold visas and green cards who have already gone through fairly extensive vetting process to even get the damn green card / visa in the first place. I don't know what they're imagining is going to be their form of extreme vetting. I don't think they understand the process as it stands.
I think they do. I think just extreme vetting is cover for no, you can't come in.
Yeah. We're going to put you through so many hoops. Like our extreme vetting in Australia is that you can get passed all through the UNHCR, the refugee assessment, that kind of thing. And then ASIO can put an anonymous block on you without providing any reason. And what do you know? You're just stuck. I think that sounds a little bit like extreme vetting. Mm-hmm. You're going to be here for a long time, and this may have nothing to do with whether you're a valid refugee or not.
Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing that came out this week, which we didn't think was going to come out until next year, was the figures behind Malcolm Turnbull's re-election campaign, whereby Malcolm himself and his wife Lucy donated $1.75 million of their own money to Malcolm's re-election campaign.
Not quite as much as we thought it would be.
We thought about 2 million. We were close.
Close.
Malcolm then tried to spin this as him putting his money where his mouth is, and tried to make an attack on Bill Shorten because Bill takes union money.
Well, originally,
Unfortunately, the Liberal donations massively eclipse later.
Well, originally, when he made the donation was just outside the window of when it would have had to be included in the previous year's, when they have to indicate what they've spent.
It was the next financial year.
So when it came out, his donation wasn't there. And he was hoping that no one would notice or they would have forgotten. And nobody did. It was brought up and mentioned. And
There's a puppy in the studio.
he's sniffing out a good political story. And we were having this conversation because we were thinking this would be the perfect time to release it. Nothing's really happening in Turnmill World. Might as well take the hit now.
Yeah.
I think he tried a resource option to see, would anyone remember? Oh, people are remembering, better do it now.
Yeah.
No, nothing's happening. And fortunately for him, the whole Sean Spicer Trump thing blew up and is pretty much taking the cover for that story.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, though, because it really does highlight the lack of confidence that Liberal donors have in Malcolm Turnbull, which is probably going to be his undoing sooner or later. I guess, he's a rich man. He can afford to fund his own campaigns forever if he wants to. But I think he's probably done after he's PM. He's going to retire type of thing.
I think so.
I think it's the writing's on the wall.
He's a two-term Prime Minister.
Yeah. He can retire and take the pension.
Doesn't he have to get over a certain number of days before you can? That was Abbott was like 1 day short, wasn't he?
He was. Poor T-Bone. So, the other thing I think that's going to bring the coalition down, and this is interesting, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a bit of a brouhaha brewing in Queensland at the moment. The Australian Defence Force published some plans to forcefully reclaim some farmland in order to extend the Shoalwater training grounds. Now, they tried to get quite a lot of the area around there because they didn't really know what they did and didn't need. We have a defence deal with Singapore, which means that they're going to pay for the upgrade of the facilities under the proviso that they can use in 5 months of the year. And there'll be, joint exercises and stuff. So the ADF came out and said, look, we're going to acquire this farmland. The farmers had heard nothing about this. The local member for the area, Michelle Landry, also had heard nothing about this. And people were pretty upset. Some of these people are fourth-generation farmers that have been on their land. It's a very, very... Actually, it happens to be it's a very conservative district, but the Liberals currently hold it by a 0.1% margin. Michelle Landry, it's the tightest contested seat that they have.
I believe land camped for a significant amount of time before this happens.
Yeah, he's on his way up to Queensland now to start negotiations with people about acquiring this land legally. The problem is that this had in their family for 4 National Party voters. It's also come out that they originally do it in the district of Kennedy, which is, as I'm sure you're all aware, Bob Katter territory.
Oh, really?
Bob Katter threatened to pull his support from the government, which I thought was fantastic. So the government Michelle Landry district, but didn't tell her. And then
They can look else.
I think, though, they want to extend the area around an existing training facility. Don't want to... Look, I'm with you. This is my... around Shoalwater Bay, reclaim the money, build these kind of problems.
Somewhere along our coastline that is mostly underpopulated.
The hassle, though, is that Singapore gave... Probably because of proximity to Singapore. So they've...
Oh, where was it? Up the north of WA or?
it'll be interesting to see what they do. But we're sending Hockey in, and then Barnaby Joyce. You got to be desperate if you're sending those boys in.
It's amazing what they'll pull their finger out. What they. It's not.
Well, I think Hansen has been in the news this as well, like how she's going to be pressing for meetings with the government. I know this is a big winner for them. Man. I mean, imagine if you show footage of Asian soldiers arriving on a ship with weapons, landing on Australian territory. So this is going to be a nation. I think if the government's poorly, and they might.
No.
Well, I mean, if I was a national member of parliament and they were trying to do this, my job's under threat. I might also threaten to pull support for the government. I might be, you know what? Fuck it. This ain't happening. Because otherwise, your political career is over.
Yeah. Well,
no one's going to vote for you.
I don't think tidy is anything you can use to describe Australian politics at the moment. It's just not going to work out that way.
This could be the straw that breaks the coalition.
That would be fun.
Well, except it could also hand a lot more power to one nation. Even more funny, the new Liberal Premier is pushing the federal government for details, saying this is bullshit. So it's lib on lib, brouhaha.
We've had a bit of interesting brouhaha it's not even a brouhaha, I should rephrase that, a bit of tomfoolery, I'll call it, in the local Western Australia state election. Mark McGowan's gone low. He's gone for cheap political points.
Is this the drug thing?
This is the drug thing.
I'm so fucking angry at the Labor Party for this.
So what is it that he exactly announced? He said he wants to impose life imprisonment?
Yeah, it's Quigley, the Shadow Attorney General, has come out and said they want to enable justices to sentence people to life in prison for methamphetamine trafficking. And the current maximum sentence is 25 years, which is a fucking long time.
Yes.
And I'm not aware of anyone that's been sentenced for 25 years. And they're also going to use their powers, the special powers as the Attorney General, to try and push for justices to double current sentences. Just flat out double them all.
Oh, mandatory sentencing.
Basically mandatory sentencing. They feel current sentences are too low and they want to push to have the sentences all doubled.
This appeals to the conservative mind that everything's simple. You just got to be tougher on things and that fixes everything.
Yeah, this did my head in. I actually wrote to my local member over this. And told him he's lost my vote again. Last time it was over the bloody football stadium. This time it's over this.
Did you thank him for the football stadium? Did you give him a compliment sandwich? Really love the stadium. However...
No, my local member's a Labor member.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. I think you need to, when you should preface all your letters, say, by the way, I didn't vote for you last time. I voted for the other side because they offered me a stadium. But this time I'd really like you to adopt my position, please.
See, and up until the football stadium thing, I had volunteered to help hand out how to vote cards at the local school.
We know what your price is, and clearly it's not a strong ethical background.
But this is just so bullshit. Like it's the whole war on drug thing. It lacks credibility. It lacks transparency. I mean, very clearly the government lies to people about the dangers of drugs. If they're decriminalising marijuana in the States and they're looking at doing it here, and up until recently the message has been it ruins lives, that's a flat out lie. So people see that, they say, I can't trust them on marijuana, maybe I can't trust them on the other things they're saying.
Yes.
And they also flat out lie about the dangers of alcohol just because they can tax it. Like, so many people die. There's so much domestic violence, one punch laws, all that shit is to deal with alcohol violence. It's fucked.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy over how those two items, how differently they're treated. Even cigarette smoking, I mean, you can't smoke weed, but you can smoke cigarettes legally. It's completely
the
bizarre.
reptile brain of the conservative voter doesn't care about such hypocrisy.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny.
But the problem is they're destroying their own safety message, right? They're trying to tell you, hey, kids, don't take heroin, it'll ruin your life. Don't smoke ice, it'll ruin your life. Those are the important ones, right? But by putting all this other nonsense in there, kids try pot, no fucking side effects, they have a really good time. Like, you know what? I'm going to try the other shit they say is bad for me because clearly they're fucking lying about this.
But not only that, they're freezing, by making it so highly criminalised, the police are being frozen out of the situation themselves. They can't address it except as a high propensity crime or something like that.
And not just that.
So people aren't going to contact them. They're not going to get as many people helping them out on leads.
Yeah, they just drop people in a hospital and then do a runner.
Yeah.
But I mean, on top of that, by forcing the police to funnel their limited resources into the war on drugs, they're unable to pursue other more meaningful priorities in the community. And I know I bitch about the West Australian Police Force being a fucking joke, but maybe they'd be less of a joke if they didn't have to waste their time with all this shit.
Especially since, and I've known a few policemen in my life, they're enforcing all these drug laws,
They don't agree with.
which they not only don't agree with, most of them are flouting themselves.
Well, it's interesting. you
I've
mention
known
that.
these people, so
Yeah, it's interesting to mention that because I look at the stats from the ABS. 42% of all Australians have used an illicit substance in their life.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to point out this is the people that are admitting to it while it is illegal. So that number
Yeah.
could well be higher. So 4 out of every 10 people in Australia are criminals. Probably more for breaking other laws. But it's just so out of touch. Like, you can't have 40% of the population breaking the law. 15% in the last 12 months, but still, over the course of their lives, 42%. And again, 15% admitting to it when it's a crime. Like, you're not just going to go, well, hey, I break the law all the time. Fucking, it's a joke. And it's so just divorced from reality.
You know what the big problem is? I'm going to segue a little bit. It's touching on the same issue about what the voter wants to hear. And I keep coming back to this, that the voter doesn't want to hear complex answers to complex problems. They want to hear simple answers to complex problems. So,
build a wall.
For a party,
Build a wall.
for a
That's what we
political
need.
party that has limited funds and a limited ability to get through to their electorate, what do? Do you want to try and educate them over a long, difficult period about your complex solution to deal with a very complex problem? Or do you want to go straight for the jugular and go, we're going to be, your authoritative daddy on the issue and just increase punishments? That's going to fix it all. What do you think is going to resonate quickest, cheapest in those two scenarios with the Conservative voter? That one. So it's a longer game to educate an electorate about, well, it's actually more effective to not be so combative against the criminal on any given issue. Maybe, we're going to have a 20-point plan that puts more money into, community engagement, social services, mental health programs. No, the electorate doesn't want to hear that. That's the soft option.
The bigger problem you've got, though, at the moment is you've handed the supply and production to a criminal element. So there are drugs being produced, there are drugs being shifted, there are drugs being sold to kids by people who have no vested interest in the health of these individuals, by people whose only interest is in making money, and by people who, since they can't go to the law if someone owes them money, they'll fucking resort to violence. Now, these kids get addicted. They then commit home invasions. They mug people in the streets. Like, there's so much crime connected to drug addiction. And if you look, and addicts don't care. They don't fucking care. You look at the Bali Nine, who went to Indonesia of all places and tried to smuggle heroin. They were all fucking addicts. It didn't stop them from trafficking. The death penalty wasn't enough to stop them from trafficking. This isn't going to make a lick of difference. There is no evidence in any way that backs this up.
No.
Fucking so disappointed in the Labor Party.
But once again, the electorate doesn't care about fact-based positions.
No, they don't.
They've made their position on how they feel about certain things and what they believe is the antidote or the cure. More authoritarian father.
Is this
what
a
they
change of policy for the Labor Party?
Yeah,
Were
it
they
is.
previously softer on?
Yeah, I've even spoken
So they
to
think there's
Labor
votes.
members.
They
They were
think there's enough
anticipating.
votes
Labor members were expecting them to come up with a policy of education, health policy, and harm reduction, and then they come up with this bullshit.
There's a conservative wing of the Labor Party. Obviously, it must
Yes, there is.
appeal to them in some fashion, I guess.
Mark McGowan is pretty much the
Yeah.
champion of the Conservative wing of the Labor Party. But this is. I mean, the Labor Party is probably going to win the election, but I'm still going to do a protest vote.
The state election, you mean?
Go vote for Colin. Even though he wants to sell Western Power, even though he wants to even though he's got no plan for getting us out of debt,
But you don't have to vote for him anymore, Dean. You've got your stadium.
your vote has to go somewhere.
It's a lovely looking
Vote has to go
stadium.
somewhere, Jace. I can't just vote Labor second last and then Colin. I mean, I could.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm vexed by this. It's just dumb policy. I expect more from them. I expect reasoned policy from supposedly progressive.
But
party.
you understand it though. There's no electoral wins by going down a path of decriminalisation. It might have actual
Isn't there?
efficacy.
Jeff Gallop won an election on that.
I thought there would be, yeah. I thought there would be on decriminalisation. Like, There's a lot of use out there.
Again, 42% of all Australians have used drugs. Probably higher in
Yeah,
the
someone.
mining industry.
Everyone knows someone who's used drugs. That's for sure.
Hell, the police commissioner knows someone that uses drugs.
That doesn't stop people
Don't you, Carl?
having hypocritical positions on any given subject.
True, but fuck them.
But what we're saying is there's a constituency out there.
There is.
So who are directly affected by these rules and laws and stuff, and maybe we shouldn't underestimate how many of them there really are.
Well, the question is, how many of them are going to flip their vote based on this? Even I don't want to. I just feel morally obliged to. This is a trigger issue for me. I don't agree with...
But they never really... I mean, this is the first time I've heard them really campaign at all. Apply an
I just don't agree with 25, 30-year-olds, whatever, spending their life in prison because they made a mistake in what I still consider to be their youth.
Yeah.
It's just fucking wrong. You're destroying families, someone's brother or son or whatever, lover, for no fucking reason. The impacts this will have on society is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Like, we have a meth epidemic. You have a meth epidemic because you created the fucking problem in the first place by surrendering control to the criminals who have a vested interest in getting people hooked on shit.
It wasn't some weakening in the current laws that brought in the current epidemic.
It's a reaction to the laws.
Yeah.
They want something that makes them money, they want something that makes it quickly, and they want to keep people addicted. Done.
Yeah.
Crystal meth. Perfect. Anyway, I'll stop raging.
Yeah. I had another interesting conversation with middle class Australia about once again it's on the theme of armchair critics who know nothing about the subject they're talking about but yet have a very strong and definite position on how it should be resolved.
That describes all three of us here.
Well, I think we can acknowledge that we don't necessarily have the background and experience. We're merely opining.
Yeah.
And we can actually acknowledge that what we're talking about is actually complex situations and acknowledge that. So I was having a conversation about, in Melbourne, there was a tragedy recently where a mentally deranged individual took their car through a mall and killed a handful of people and injured up to 30 people.
I was there the day after that.
And the discussion and obviously the person I was having this conversation was, it was around, well, actually what triggered it was Miranda Devine wrote an idiotic piece about the...
you should phrase this properly. A Christian terrorist.
Miranda Devine.
No, the driver, Christian terrorist, committed an assault, a mass assault, a terrorist action against individuals in a Eastern Australian city.
So Miranda...
Those bloody Christian terrorists are at it again.
Miranda Devine's piece...
We should build a wall.
Having a go at the Melbourne Police Force about being too soft, being too involved with community engagements with the LGBTQ community, that they shouldn't be having positions on social issues and they should just get on with the job of policing, and then ranting on that they're too weak, they don't have the right decision-making policy, training for on-the-ground situations.
They shot the guy.
Just all...
Yeah, a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty strong.
Typical puff piece from a right-wing conservative hack. So I was ranting to the person I was with about what an idiot Miranda Devine was as an individual who has no experience in policing of any sort, no experience in security, no experience in any of the things that you would need to know how to assess what really happened here and how did the police force respond appropriately, was it fair and all so forth. No, she just went out there and said they sucked at their jobs and they don't know what they're doing.
I think they handled it really well.
Well,
I would have been tempted to shoot him in the chest if I was a cop. I would have been like, you know what? I missed. No one's really going to be that angry at me.
Well, no.
You go for a shot to wound. You accidentally kill a guy. Well, no one's going to be that angry. You're going to feel all right. You're going to feel just fine. You go home and you're like, honey, today I did a good thing. I mean, you can't tell anyone about this ever. You can't tell anyone about this. But I didn't miss. I fucking hit.
You better back up there, Dean. It's sounding a little sociopathic.
I'm just saying.
I understand.
You know when Martin Bryant came out and he had himself set on fire and they didn't kill him? If someone actually had just bang and then Martin Bryant was dead and not sitting in prison, do you think anyone would care?
The investigation would have been shallow.
Yeah. Oh my God, he came right for us.
That's right.
Well, the thing I was trying to explain to this individual is that because this individual was quite outraged, the police didn't do enough to stop it and so forth. And I explained to them is
Well, Christian terrorists are hard to deal with.
well, the thing is, I said to them, how often does someone go mental in a car and run people over? And they couldn't cite any other examples. I said, well, there you go. You can't run and train a police force based on extreme examples of crime. You train your police force to deal with 90% of crimes and try and anticipate what remaining of your budget's left to try and deal with the most probable extreme act that will happen. So in this situation, yes, it's very unfortunate. Do you change your police force training? Probably not, because is this going to happen again? Probably not.
Yeah.
And they found that very hard to digest, that it wasn't enough. Surely you could train a sniper
They're
to be able to deal with the situation.
They're expecting the police to...
Knee-jerk reaction.
Well, they're expecting the police to take care of a situation they simply cannot. It's not within their training or scope. It's not something they can deal with. Finding mentally unhinged people before they get into cars is probably part of the health system or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's where the things are falling over.
This actually ties in many ways to the argument around gun control. You can't actually... You have to find some way of dealing with these nutcases, right? It doesn't matter what weapon they go for. You take the gun... It does
actually matter what weapon.
You take the gun away, they're going to go for a car, they're going to go for something else. Like, they can still kill people en masse if they want to. You have to find a way of dealing with the individual.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And as David Lionhelm tweeted, this must be one of those semi-automatic assault cars.
Where was the good guy with the car?
I don't know. See, that's the thing.
Where was the good guy with the car?
Well,
to take
a
out the
concealed
bad
car.
guy with the car?
Where are you going to conceal a car, Jason? What are you, Batman? The Batcave somewhere?
I don't know. They're in the middle of a
house.
city. There's cars all around. Someone could have just hotwired one and, good guy with the car. Yeah.
And from this example, I'm circling back that...
But to just tackle your argument briefly, if people had firearms, though, good guy with a gun...
Yeah, there'd be a crossfire and there'd be a lot more people dead. It's
that.
like that whole thing with the Joker. They were talking about when that guy who dressed up as a Joker went into the Batman shooting. They said, what if people in that cinema, that darkened theatre, had all had guns? Yeah, I think there'd be a lot more people dead. Not just that one guy. That's the problem with more people with guns is more people die.
Well, no, there's more potential for people.
Well, and there's also significant examples and case studies showing that even though when individuals do have a gun, they just don't have the reaction time to actually do anything
the
about
training or whatever. Yeah,
I'm just saying, what if someone had a gun?
Well, there were a lot of cars around. Why didn't people just start driving willy-nilly and trying to knock him off the road?
He wasn't on the road. He was
Or
on the
in the
sidewalk.
mall or anywhere like that. So someone should have got a car and started chasing him down that mall. Because that would have ended in... It would have been so much better, obviously. This is the argument you're making, right?
No, I'm not advocating for cars. I'm just saying,
No, you're advocating for more guns. And I'm saying, let's get a couple more people cars to take on the guy that went through the mall.
But it's always a facetious argument to compare inanimate objects not designed for killing people
to objects designed for killing people.
specifically for killing people,
Yeah.
and why we might want to keep them
Well,
out of the
hang on. They
hands and
might also be
people.
designed for killing clay targets. I think that this is. I remember when I was younger, there was police on the street, like walking the beat, and you don't get beat cops anymore. I feel like when you do get them, sometimes there's plenty around the city and stuff. But I feel like this is an argument towards why police resources should be directed towards actively sort of keeping society safe. And I don't feel that punishing kids for growing pot is the best use of resources.
Absolutely.
If you had that money back,
what would you spend it on?
What would you
Some
spend it
other
on?
thing, yeah.
probably more police on the street.
Road safety.
You know?
Whatever.
And they could have guns or cars, and they could stop this guy.
I would
Next
contend
time.
there's probably nothing you could have done with that police force to stop that situation. From happening,
No,
unfortunately.
that's right.
I did get countered with, well, if it was someone from your family, you'd be calling for blood. I said, of course I would, but that's why. And then we went to this argument of why those who are victims of crime don't be part of the jury.
That's right. That's right.
Once again, those arguments were lost on this individual.
Yeah, I get you. And that's why the victim's family are not part of the sentencing sort of process.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you could have police cars equipped with those stinger strips and stuff to stop cars. Like they would carry them anyway.
But
for
once
high-speed
again,
traces.
how do you train? Why are you going to divert funds to train for a scenario that never happens?
Well, I'm not, because you've got high-speed chases anyway. I mean, we had an example in WA where a cop car went through someone's wall into their house recently.
Yeah, but I mean, when they set
chasing
those
the car.
things up, they get advanced warning about, that
Yeah,
I understand
predicting where this individual
So
is going to be
if a
going.
guy's he was doing donuts in the middle of an intersection for quite a while.
Yeah,
You
but
could
he's
just be
not
like
going
strip,
anywhere.
strip, strip, strip.
He's staying within a 300-meter radius.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to deploy stingers. you're sort of going, okay, we're anticipating
look,
this guy's going to be hitting this road in 5 minutes. Be there with his stingers. If they're on a freeway, you can do that sort of.
Yeah,
shenanigan.
I just feel like if you had more cops on the road, you could deal with this.
Yeah.
Or helicopter with a high-powered sniper rifle.
Well, as you said, it's where we choose to apply our police resources, and at the moment they want to apply them to enforcing drug laws.
War on drugs.
Which is just silly.
Yeah. What do you do?
When I was doing a little bit of research on the Intercept this morning for today's show, so obviously running on time.
What's that?
Yeah, well, but I found I have to do more research. But what came up was because everyone's panicking about Trump now and the fact that he's now in charge of this vast security
I'm not
apparatus.
panicking so far.
No, you're not panicking?
No.
It's funny because
It's terrifying. I'm alarmed, but I'm not... No, wait. I'm alert, but I'm not alarmed.
Well, just as an example, there's a bit of... There's this interesting sort of situation. I read some of these centrist websites that were very pro-Democrat, pro-DNC kind of thing. And they would never criticize Obama about drone striking and stuff like that. Well, Trump just recently had his own first little...
Didn't go well, though.
Didn't go well. Well, but then again, so... The point is, how many?
30 civilians were killed.
Yeah, but
one US
Obama's
special
done
forces
that
member.
himself. Obama's
No, I'm
done
aware
that.
of that.
And I'm just talking about the media outlets and how differently they report it. They would never take issue with Obama and his drone strikes beforehand, yet the moment this first botched job for Trump came up, they're straight on, and quite rightly so. I mean, but...
I think what happens, though, and I'm not president of the US, but I imagine what happens is the military comes to you with some intelligence.
You're not?
And they're like, we would like to do this. We think there's enough of a chance of success. What do you reckon? You
Actually,
give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
But apparently what they think in this case, it might have been Trump who went to them. So... and said, I want my big first operation. I want a big success to go out. And he's the one that pushed them to do this kind of thing. That was some of the conjecture I heard anyway.
Conjecture, though, right?
Yeah, very
from
much
a centrist website that didn't.
No. This was actually from some of those rabid lefty websites.
Oh well, there you go.
Like the Majority Report.
You should look at Fox News. They will
Fair
tell
and
you everything
balanced.
you need to know. Fair and balanced. Fair and balanced.
Yeah.
What did Glenn Beck have to say about this?
Fox News, where it's all a Kenyan fascist communist plot.
Perhaps you've been consuming alternative facts.
Yeah, many alternative facts. So one of the things that came up was the FBI has this watch list called RAP-BAC, and that stands for Record of Arrest and Prosecution, and it's a program where...
What's the BAC stand for?
I'm not sure what the BAC stands for, but...
Oh, okay. Good acronym. Kicking goals there, FBI.
Yeah. Well, they got the first three letters. They said we can't be bothered after that.
Baby's got it.
They should have called it Rap Battle.
Okay, so and what it is the reason they're suddenly becoming a little bit worried about it, some of the left are concerned that it's actually an alert system. So if your company subscribes to this, the moment you're arrested, they will receive an alert that one of their employees has been arrested. So, and the reason it's sort of come to the fore at the moment is because during the inauguration protests, everyone was suddenly concerned that with this program up and running, that them protesting and their arrest at these protests would then get filtered back to their company that they work for.
I think it's okay as long as you don't set a limo on fire. Your employer's probably not going to fire you.
But so the interesting thing, because I'm going, that sounds interesting. It's a little bit chilling if you're a protester or something like that, and it could be concerning the fact that if you get arrested while you're protesting, immediately your employment will know about it.
Seems like a soft deterrent for you to not protest.
Very much so. Yeah,
What
but
do you-
the
what do
thing
you
is,
get
I don't
charged-
even know what the
What
situation...
do you get charged with when you get arrested when you're protesting? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, see,
Depends.
in Australia, this is what I'm saying. I don't know what our protections in Australia are, to be honest. Whether we have anything like this, because the only ones I've seen, they weren't arrested, that they could arrest you or
Detain you,
take you from the premises, and then issue you with a move on notice, which meant that you couldn't be back there for 24 hours, and then you're all done. So that's technically not even being arrested. Apparently, they're just getting you out of the area.
That is correct. You can get issued with the move on notice.
But as to whether an arrest here would then get immediately reported back, this is why I said I need to do more research, because I wasn't even sure what the Australian situation is. Do your employees... I've never heard of it myself.
You're asking the wrong people.
But you could do a background check when you're employing someone, I assume.
I had to do police
Or
clearances.
police clearances,
Regular
yeah.
police clearances when I was working for...
But what is that? What information does
Certain
that
companies.
give? Just that you haven't been convicted of something.
If you ever appear in court on any matter, that'll be on your police clearance. So it'll show that you were in court and charged with something.
So that's what whoever asks for a police clearance will get that information that you were charged with that X, whether you were convicted of X.
I think if you have to be convicted as well. But if you've gone to court and you lose,
So
they'll
if
go
you
to
weren't
police
convicted, then you
I'm
have
pretty
no
sure that's
police
fine, yeah,
record.
yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering about that because half the time, I mean, for example, with the protests recently, is they were especially with Occupy and things like that, and Black Lives Matter, they're just arresting them, taking them off the field, detaining them for a day, and then releasing them either with no charge or a charge that then gets dropped automatically later on. So it's just a matter of, like, is this something that would get transferred back to your employer? Because
That still seems like a bit of abuse of power. If you charge on something, you're like, we're dropping it.
but that's what they do. That's what they did. Occupy Wall Street was rife with it. They just to get them off the streets, they'd drag them away, saying they're being arrested, and then charges would be dropped at some point.
There's no penalty for a false arrest, is there?
No. And there's no penalty for having an arrest where the only charge is resisting arrest. Because someone would then go, well, what are you arresting them for? And they go, resisting arrest. No, but what were you arresting them for originally? Resisting arrest. Anyway, I wasn't sure what the Australian protections are, so I'm just going to have to...
So next week on the show,
Maybe,
Jason's
I'll do a
hot
bit of an
story
update, yeah.
will be the Australian legality.
Well,
around
just whether...
protesting.
I mean, I was interested to know whether a police clearance, what information that gives an employer.
Yep, but like I said,
Yeah.
convictions in court.
I mean, as someone who's never had anything more than speeding fines, it's not really...
I think even if you get reckless driving or maybe dangerous, also send you to court, and that'll show up on your police
Right.
clearance.
Drunk driving will show up.
Okay.
Which is it's good though. I mean, if you're trying to get a job as I don't know, like a truck driver or something, and you've got like repeat offences for drink driving, I can understand why your employer will.
Yeah,
know.
but and there's also like sometimes if you ask for a police clearance, does that mean if you serve time and you get out, people can see that you've served time for that, and therefore they just choose not to
for 10 years, yeah, before it clears off.
So they can.
It also doesn't show pending convictions though. Like if you get your police clearance today and you're due to appear in court in 6 months' time on a murder charge, that doesn't show up. They will never know until the next time they make you do a police clearance 3 years from now.
But what I mean is it allows prejudice against those that have served time.
Our society does that.
So
in
there's
general.
no protections for those people whatsoever.
No,
really,
it's
is
crap.
there? If they
It's
see that,
bullshit,
then
yeah.
they can be, without them even being able to plead the situation or whatever. I just happen to know someone who went through a similar situation, except he was employed by a company. They then found out about his background, and then he got, got the rough treatment after that.
You wouldn't want to fuck with an ex-con.
Especially this.
You want to give him a rough treatment. You want to be like, I'm sorry, Joel, but we had to let you go because of cutting measures.
I wonder if you, it was interesting anyway. And just a little thing that piqued my interest when I was reading about it. Milo Yiannopoulos, the internet troll extraordinaire,
He's very funny though.
has sparked. He can be amusing, but he is basically a base troll. He's a basic bitch. That's what he is.
But a funny one.
He kicked off the protests in Berkeley. First of all, I don't actually agree with these protests. You don't protest trolls. There's no point.
Yeah, giving him oxygen.
I know it's really pointless. But the peaceful protests were then invaded by about 150 Antifas, which is an anti-fascist organisation in black bloc sort of gear. Started breaking windows and causing trouble and punching the odd fascist as well, which immediately got interesting sort of the news. I mean, someone who attended the protest said it was all peaceful. 150 people rolled in, smashed a few things up, and then fucked off.
Even Trump tweeted about this. He said, maybe no federal funds for Berkeley.
Yeah, and then the way they put it on the news and the mainstream media was that it was just an absolute riot the whole time, and there was everyone was violent and stuff like that. So
It fits the narrative, doesn't it?
it fits the narrative well. But Milo, yeah, he's a polarizing figure, and he seems to be getting people very
He's a
animated.
disinformation master.
Yeah, he's good at it.
If
He's
you
very
actually
good at it.
listen to 10 minutes of what he babbles on about, then go and actually fact check it, you goes, yeah, you've so twisted all those facts to suit your narrative.
Yeah.
But people never do that, so they take him on face value when he says it, and he has very extreme positions, particularly about
Plus,
Muslim people.
I don't actually think he believes half of his positions. I think he's a
don't.
genuine troll.
No, yeah, I think he genuinely. I think it's almost like a stand-up comedy act. I would be surprised if his non-showbiz face was in any way like his showbiz persona. I think he's playing a character.
Yeah, how deep does that character go? I mean, how much
Well,
of you know what I mean?
as a
At
gay
some
man
point,
who
at
likes
some point,
black men, I think quite deep.
and at some point when you're playing this character and this character is causing deliberate harm.
He didn't cause the harm. The fucking protesters did.
No. But I mean, because I don't mind if you protest him. I don't think you should protest a troll. But at some point when you're saying harmful shit like this, it can the
His
fact that he
message
was
incites
doxing
people.
Yeah, not only inciting people but doxing people and stuff like that. That's dangerous. I mean, at some point you've got to stop that kind of dangerous shit. And while I don't agree with restricting speech, if it's going to cause someone fucking danger and you don't care, you're showing you don't care, then I think at some point you can block that.
Maybe. Don't know.
Who makes that call? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Once you give the government power to silence people, they're going to use it. They're going to abuse that. So I feel like I'm on the side of free speech, even though you have to put up with idiots like this. I just think you're right. Like, why even protest in the first place? If you're not protesting,
that's right.
then there's no chance of it going
He's
pear-shaped.
got like 7 trollish followers, and
It'll go away.
he would go away. Yeah, absolutely.
People would talk about, I went to this Marlionopolis gathering last night, and you'd be like, that fucking troll? Why are you wasting your time? And then just end the conversation, walk away.
But there's an audience out there that wants to hear what he says. That's why he's got a job
Yeah.
on Breitbart. There is an audience out there for them who don't care about facts, who don't want the truth. They've decided on their bias, and they want the confirmation of that bias. And people like Milo provide that.
Everyone suffers from cognitive bias, though. Like, you're always looking for evidence to support your own preconceptions, because otherwise you're wrong.
but he plays on it. He's consciously going, I know what they're expecting, and he's delivering what they want.
Yeah,
and
There's two levels of
I think Ann Coulter does it as well.
oh no, absolutely, Ann Coulter. Yeah, I believe she's been. This is what I'm saying. When you've been playing that role for so long, and so deeply, like I don't know how it probably permeates most of their fucking life. And you have to wear the results. And what you're saying is, even if you're a troll, what you're saying can be dangerous. Then at some point you got to own that shit, whether you think you're a troll or not. You just got to fucking own it.
I'll take you on with your comment about confirmation bias. I agree. Everyone does have confirmation bias, but I think you'll find... I'm not biased about that.
Yeah.
Is that...
Does your ass have anything more to say?
I will contend, except for the subject of guns, that the three of us, whilst we do have confirmation bias, when presented with facts that counter our position, that we'll go, okay, fair cop, but I'm actually willing to explore where these facts go.
Yeah, you guys really won't listen to the gun thing.
I did put that as a...
I understand.
You won't listen to the gun thing, Dean.
No. My point is...
You've made your point many times.
You're like,
yes.
oh, but there's been no fucking mass killing since Howard. It's like, there's been close to mass killing since Howard. That Lint Cafe nearly went pear-shaped. New Zealand has much more relaxed gun control laws than us, and also hasn't had any killings.
Are we just
since
talking
then.
about multiples of how many are killed? Is that where we're drawing the line? So,
Well, that's where you're drawing the line.
I'm saying it matters. It fucking matters.
The only way we're going to sort this argument out of Dean's is if we do a mass dump of 10 million weapons into the Australian population.
And see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, let's see what
You
happens.
have no control group. You need a control group.
Let's see what happens. It's the Jimmy Dore style fucking of
But
political.
where I was going with the confirmation bias thing is the alt-right or the very conservative, even when presented with the facts, will go, I don't believe them. They're not willing to follow where contradictory facts to their position, where that takes them, they don't want to go to that point.
Yeah.
They don't want to be proven wrong about how they believe things work and should be.
True.
If they're presented with facts, and I'm talking real facts, not alternative facts, fake news, but facts, they'll go, don't believe them. I don't believe the media that's coming from, or they'll come up with some reason why.
Well, they'll spin the motivations behind it or whatever. Yeah, they'll find some way to ignore it.
I agree.
To
I mean,
rationalise
if you
their
look
own
at
position.
The percentage of homicides caused by firearms in this nation, nothing's changed. It's the same level. Percentage of homicides with using firearms has not changed.
Dean's refusing to move when
No,
presented
you
with facts.
refuse not to move. You're like, oh, gun crime's gone down. Fucking as a percentage, they're the same.
The propensity for people to commit
I'm not even
violence
making that up.
doesn't change.
I'm not even making that up. You wish I was making that up.
We've never argued that, the propensity for humans to commit violence is always there, whether guns are there or not.
Yeah.
What it changes is how personal you get with committing the violence, and whether it presents a second fault for those who don't have the stomach for performing the actual face-to-face
You
brutality.
don't have to do it face to face. You can just poison them, Frank. You don't have to be there when they die.
But most crimes of passion are done on the spot. They're not done. You need forethought and planning to do poisoning.
There's less planning in pulling a trigger,
Is there?
especially if that trigger can offload 3 bullets at once instead of just the single.
And you don't have to get dirty.
Yeah.
Well, you get
You can
dirty.
do it at a
No,
distance.
it depends how close you get.
You can get dirty. And if you're in a confined space, your ears are going to be fucked.
You've obviously done the
I
alphabet testing
have
in this.
I have not worn earmuffs while I've shot a firearm, and it's painful.
How did we get down this rabbit warren of?
I don't know. Dean wanted to drag it back. He wanted it back in there.
I'm just
not
trying to
sure what we
present
were even
actual
talking about.
facts. When you guys are going for alternative facts.
We're not doing alternative facts. We're all working to a set of facts that we are just choosing to spin and support whichever position we want. Which
Okay.
is, correlation doesn't mean causation. You enjoy dismissing facts until you really want to use them.
I'm not
Like,
dismissing
hey,
any
guess
fact.
what? Here's
you
a
have
fact
never
for you.
presented a fact. You don't do your research. We've established this already.
That's right. We're talking about Milo Yiannopoulos, and why we think he's dangerous is because, as you were saying, he sends a message out that can incite those to commit violence to certain groups.
Yeah. And that's at some point you do have to make that choice.
Fucking idiots are going to always be idiots, though. Like, with or without Milo, they're going to find someone that incites them.
Yeah.
Like, they will find something.
Yeah,
Milo is a great focal point.
So it's yelling fire in a theatre. I mean, do we allow it or not?
Is there a fire?
Yes.
Well, then we yell fire.
If people are
if
gonna,
there is legitimately a fire in a theatre,
if
yeah, we
people
yell
are go-
fire.
If people are going to die, then yeah. But if there is actually a fire, you yell it. But if you yell it and there isn't one, and people die because they're trying to get out of the place,
There's a difference between shutting down free speech and making someone responsible for the
Yeah.
actions that take place after there's free speech.
That's
or what
right.
their free speech inspires. I don't think you should ever shut it down, but I think there has to be mechanisms.
yeah.
to make
And
people own.
but the point is with Milo Yiannopoulos, he's not being shut down. He's being denied certain platforms that aren't given to most other people anyway. They're just saying, "Fuck it, we're not
You
going to
can-
have you talk
You
here."
can charge him with slander, though, for the things he says. When he says something that's untrue.
No,
or
but you can just
slanderous.
deny him the platform and say, "Look, we don't want your piece of shit talk here. If you go and find somewhere else, you can say whatever you like, but find another platform."
Yeah, but the university decided they were cool with it.
Apparently,
that's fine.
Yeah,
But the audience decided they weren't.
that's right.
Well, it
the
wasn't even the
protesters,
audience,
they
apparently.
decide-
So whose speech are we going to not allow? I mean, they can protest.
Well, I mean, these students can vote with their wallets and go to a different university. They can transfer. If Berkeley's such a shitty institution for allowing Milo to talk there and you can't support him anymore, fucking transfer.
And I think
no. Whether we stop him or not, but the thing is, you got to allow people to be able to protest him. as he's there.
You have to allow people the right to say things you disagree with, because one day if
Absolutely.
you don't,
And
that will be
no
used
one's
against you.
disagreeing with you
And
on
he
that.
can say that, and you got to allow people that might want to protest him as well.
Yeah, I do. I think Milo's quite funny. I don't agree with what he says. I think the protesting and the trashing is completely out of order. And I think the same thing about the riots that happened in Washington when Trump was doing his inauguration. Who the fuck sets a limousine on fire and think that's okay?
Didn't stop the inauguration.
No, I know, but why? Why are you even doing that? How is this helping? This just makes you look like exactly the kind of people that he's saying you are.
He's exactly the kind of people he's been saying he is. And everyone seems to be okay with it.
Yeah, well, people seem to be genuinely shocked, but not the people that voted for him.
Yeah.
Mexico, they're a little shocked.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm out.
I'm out too.
I'm good. I'm done.
Yay for guns.
I'm not saying yay for guns. I'm just saying you
No,
have
you
to
are.
let adults be adults.
You're saying yay for guns.
One final piece. There was a senator or congressman who was being questioned about the Republican Party repealing back. It wasn't legislation, but some rule. I don't know how it got put into play under the Obama administration right at the end of the term, where basically, for certain individuals who were so mentally incapacitated they weren't allowed to cash their social security test. There was something about.
Yeah, if you have a disability on Social Security and it's for mental illnesses, you weren't allowed to buy firearms under Obama,
Yes,
and it
they
was
repealed that.
an executive order that he had to put through. Yeah, they've repealed it. That's
But when the congressman was being questioned about why they did it, he just would refuse to answer the question. He would always, because he was being asked, and I don't know if it was.
It's okay, because another person with a firearm, possibly mentally unstable as well, will probably take care of those people.
I think the thing. Good joke. I think the important thing is here is you.
Just make sure they've all got guns.
No, but
it's okay.
But the problem is,
It'll work itself out
it
at
is
the
a discriminatory law, because just because someone has a mental illness or a mental condition, if we can call it that, because I don't
Would we
like
let
the
them
illness.
drive? I mean, let's
Well-
as a low bar. Let's say anyone we won't allow to have a driver's license probably shouldn't have a gun either.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But I mean, at the same time, I don't like discriminatory laws. Like, it's not cool to say, hey, you got a mental illness, you can't have a gun. You might be perfectly harmless. You might have nothing wrong with you. Maybe you just suffer PTSD or something.
I'd like to err on the side of just not giving them a gun.
You don't want anyone to have guns, though.
I don't
Let's be honest, your end goal is no guns for anyone.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I'm happy to have rational positions in the in-between as well. And I think just denying someone who's had a history of mental illness probably is a good idea, not to give them a gun.
I don't believe owning a gun's a right.
Well, it is. It's in their constitution.
Yeah, but I mean, just
Well,
in general.
you may not believe that, but unfortunately, it's the Second Amendment. It's there. It's important to be the Second Amendment because the First Amendment is one, I can say whatever the fuck I want. Therefore, Amendment 2 is going to have to be able to back that up with a Cold 45. You need that. That's
Okay.
all.
So you're all for that?
No. I think you need to assess things on an individual case-by-case basis, right? I don't believe in mandatory sentencing. I believe in judicial discretion. I don't believe in mandatory laws that prohibit people from having firearms. I believe it should be assessed on a case-by-case basis because the people we put in charge of these should be capable of doing their job.
But there's certain firearms we shouldn't allow people to have, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it's just a matter of where we draw the line.
Yeah, no. I don't think anyone needs an assault rifle.
Yeah.
Well,
So
maybe a military guy needs one. But as a civilian,
perhaps not an ex-military guy.
Couldn't we have a case-by-case situation with the army as well? We assess whether the soldier needs
Well, no, you
the
do
assault
though.
weapon.
You do. I
Why
mean,
do we have
if you,
to have this blanket rule? They all get a.
They all get a gun.
Machine
well, they don't all get guns. You have to qualify for it. Like, if you want to use like a light machine gun, anyway. Look, there's things you go through. There are hoops.
Doesn't
You go through training.
Well, hold on. Isn't that counter to the Second Amendment then? If they're being put through hoops?
Well, no, they still have a right to bear arms.
Okay.
Then they are bearing arms. It's just if you don't have the clearances for that weapon, you can't use it. And that's fine.
Well, I thought that would be in contravention of the Second Amendment, right then.
Well, I don't think anyone needs an LMG.
See the
I really
circle
don't.
I'm going with you
No, I don't. I definitely see what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do.
Very clumsily,
But-
unfortunately for the listening audience.
Yeah. The point is,
What's the point? Well, what point are we at now?
it's the same point in every argument.
What?
You have to assess it on a case-by-case basis. You can't make blanket rules because they get abused.
We do make blanket rules.
What if they decide that
We
liberalism
make
is a
blanket
mental
rules,
illness?
but we do make blanket rules. We're just deciding where we place that
What
line.
if they decide socialists or communists have a mental illness?
What if we
'Cause they
decide?
don't believe
What
in
if we
capitalism?
decide everyone should have a machine gun?
Fuck, you can decide that if you want.
Let's just decide that, and it's a blanket rule. Everyone should have a machine gun. We're all going to have them. We'll all be fine, right?
Look, some countries,
At some
some
point,
Nordic countries do have that. Everyone has a rifle and 25 rounds in their home.
that's it.
That's
Everyone must have a
fine.
gun.
Every man over 21.
Switzerland also has the second highest gun-related fatality rate in the world. So
By per capita or?
per capita,
no,
yeah.
I mean, basically, they have a very low crime rate, murder rate, but of those
Of those crimes, a lot of them with
they're all
firearms.
with firearms.
It's an interesting quirk of Switzerland.
When a Swissman chooses to murder someone, they choose.
They go for the simplest and easiest attainable weapon,
Oh,
and
look
it's a.
what's in my footlocker.
Well, at least
An assault weapon.
At least
Look
his
at I'm highly
target-
trained in using.
At least his target happens to have one he's trained in using, and they can defend themselves.
Now, Peter, make sure the safety is not on.
So clearly in Switzerland, there's just crossfire going on everywhere.
But there's not.
There's
They have a
good
really-
guys
they have a
with bad
really-
guys taking out good guys
Ah,
with more bad guys.
This is going off track.
I think we ended
You're
the
presenting a large amount
we
of
ended the
alternate facts.
we ended the podcast some time ago.
No, we haven't. This is all going
No, I
on.
know. We just for some reason carried on.
Right. And I think we're done.
All right, we're done.
Good night, Australia.
Good night.
Good night.